thank you guys so much for coming to our Realtor Value session, which I never usually teach. We usually have other people come in and teach these classes, but there's a lot of important information, a lot of things that are changing this year that as agents really need to know because it's going to affect your jobs. We're also going to go over some tools, about 5 new loan programs that are going to help you to sell to more people, get more people under contract, because right now it's hard. I mean, it's hard for everybody, and we need to make sure that we're able to have as many tools in our tool belt as we can. So when someone comes to us and says that they want to buy a house, and you're like, I don't think you can, we're like, oh, well, maybe we do have a program for you, or maybe we do have a way to get you under contract. So I do want to tell you guys about some of the upcoming classes that we have. Blake's getting them right now, so it'll be like 5 seconds.
Is Rob's.
Okay, so our next class that we have coming up, just the credit one.
The 20.
So we have our next value session is going to be on the 16th of this month. So we had to push this last one. It's going to be a really good one. We're going to have Rob Larochelle from Bay State Financial coming and doing financial, basically kind of an overview of financial planning as a 1099 self-employed real estate agent. So really all the info that you need to know to make sure you're setting yourself up for success as a self-employed person. Kind of some vessels and avenues and all the things that you need to be able to do that. So he's going to be here on Thursday the 16th at 10. So make sure you tell as many people as you can. A lot of people are kind of getting into the industry now and think like, oh, you know, I'm self-employed, like there's not really anything I can do. There are a lot of things you can do, and he's personally helped me a lot with all of that, and I couldn't recommend him more to be able to do that for you guys. He's really experienced in all that. So he's going to be here next week. We're also having a virtual credit class. So we have partnered with a company. We actually work with this company called My Credit Guy. They're an amazing, actually like family-owned company. It's not like this big national company. They genuinely are experts in credit, and they've helped so many of my clients go from having no credit qualifying to weeks later being under contract, months later being under contract. And they're very reasonable. They give free credit consults from the beginning. But what we're going to do is I want to get all those people that you've had talk to you and say, hey, like I want to buy, but my credit's not where it can be. I want all those people to buy this year. So we're hosting this class virtually, and I want you guys to reach out to anyone that fits in that bucket. But also those people that maybe said, maybe you had them shopping all last year in an FHA loan, and you had them shopping in an FHA loan because of their credit. Let's get them into a conventional loan and get their offer accepted, right? So this class is going to help people get from FHA to conventional or from not qualifying to qualifying. So what day is that one? 23rd at 1 p.m. via Zoom, and My Credit Guy is actually going to be on the call and teaching all of the ways to do it. So I think it's helpful to be on as an agent as well, so that when someone comes to you and asks you, you can confidently tell them what to do to kind of get there, but also kind of guide them and feel confident that you're putting them in a place to get them qualified. So that's going to be a virtual class on that day, and then none of you are really in the Bangor market, but we're hosting a first-time homebuyer seminar up in the Bangor area as well. So if you have anyone in the Bangor area, that would be a good, let them know that on Wednesday the 22nd at 5:30, we're going to be having a first-time homebuyer seminar up there. So that's what we have going on this month, and we're pretty excited about it. So good morning, Jacqueline. So what we're going to do now is just kind of talk a little bit about what's going on. You're welcome. Right now, I'd say the biggest question we're all getting said right now, or biggest question I'm getting, and I'm sure as agents you're getting, is what are rates going to do this year, right? Like what's going to happen with interest rates? And you know, it's kind of a loaded question, right? You're like, well, who knows what's going to happen? But the thing is interest rates are dictated by the inflation. So right now, we'll just stay here for a second. Right now, what's happening is everyone is saying, I'm going to wait for rates to drop, right? I'm going to wait to buy until interest rates have gone down, right? How many people have gotten that question, like have gotten that response? Everybody, right? Good morning, Denise. Everyone is literally saying, yeah, well, I'm just going to put a pause on things. Well, guess what? Everybody says they're going to put a pause on things. And when that happens, every single person that told you that they were going to buy when rates drop now are all shopping for the same houses. So when that happens, prices go significantly over. So last year, between April and June, the average house went $60,000 over asking. As soon as rates started to go up, the houses started going between now and from July and now, rates started going a little bit closer to asking price. Things like inspections came back around. Things like negotiations came back around. And the thing you need to be educating your buyers on is when rates drop, everybody's going to start buying. Everybody's going to be tying. So instead of you offering asking price, having inspections, renegotiating, you're now offering $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 over asking. You can always refinance your rate. Your rate can always go down, but you can never get back the fact that you just paid $100,000 over what the property was worth. And that's what the message that we, as the people in the forefront of these buyers, that's what we have to be educating them. We can always get your rate down. And the reason we know that rates are going to go down is because everyone is working so hard at getting this inflation under control. And as soon as the inflation comes under control, then the bonds are affected. Rates are directly affected by the bonds. So we know for a fact that rates are going to drop, and we're predicting that will be by the end of the year, somewhere around November. We don't think they're going to go back down into the 2s and 3s, but we do think that they're going to go down to 5, high 4s, low 5s, to the mid 5s. And if that happens, the payments are significantly different than high 6s, low 7s, which we're seeing right now. So this is what we have to start doing, and this is what we have to start educating, putting as much content out as available, doing as much the talking, the speaking to everyone about this is don't wait for rates to drop because you're going to be in a worse situation than you're going to be right now.
You know, Skylar, one of the great terms is you marry the home and you date the rate.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's really happening is that we can always refinance, and especially if someone's going into a VA loan, an FHA loan, the streamlined refinance process is so easy. It's literally no appraisal, barely any closing costs, 10-day turn time. You know, it is fast. So we have to be kind of pushing these people but the important thing is they have to feel confident of where that monthly payment is at that time. We don't want to put someone into a position where rates are higher and we're pushing them into a place that they don't feel confident where that monthly payment is. So if they feel comfortable where that payment is and they can close at that, that's the worst it's ever going to get. It can't get any worse than that. So that's one thing to kind of think about. So we already kind of talked about a little bit about this, but when inflation is high, it's bad for the bonds. The interest rates are directly affected by the bonds. And then when the Fed increases the Fed rate to curb inflation, it directly affects the interest rate. And that's what we're going to be seeing towards the end of the year. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but we have to do that. So the goal is always that we're going to get inflation under control. And like I said, that's expected to happen by kind of November, end of the year type of thing. So what we want to do is also, hi Katie. Also remember that rates went up in 2022 the fastest that they've ever gone up in U.S. history. That's, you know, we just went through that. We don't want to go through that again. But this year there's a lot of changes happening and a lot of changes that you guys need to know and going to make you better as agents moving forward. So these are all the ones we're going to talk about. The new loan limits, the new area median income increases, which is good for everybody, as well as a first-time homebuyer program, inspection changes, seasoning changes, and appraisal changes. All right, so new loan limits for conventional. What does this mean? This means that someone can buy a 5% down house for $764,000 and only put 5% down. This is a huge increase. What we started noticing is as the price of houses started going up, people were kind of getting priced out in that jumbo market. They no longer could do 5% down or 10% down. They were now required to put the 20% down, maybe have extra appraisal and higher interest rate once they got into that price range. But what we're seeing is so many houses that they, you know, maybe were looking at were now going $100,000 above that. So now they weren't qualifying for a regular conventional loan. So they just went up. You can now buy a 4-unit for a conventional up to $1.4 million and avoid jumbo. That's crazy. But also $764,000 for a buyer and only have to put 5% down is really good. So yeah, take a picture of this, keep this in mind. This is something important. Not only did the conventional loan limits go up, but also the FHA loan limits went up, which is huge. One of the biggest things I would say that I've run into is people shopping in that FHA loan limit. They qualify much higher, but they've been limited due to the loan limit. So right now, what we see here is a single family FHA is now gone up to 506. That is huge. That is really, really huge because we were limited in like the 300 range before. So what this means is someone with an FHA loan can purchase a home and only put 3.5% down as long as they have a loan limit of 506 or under. This is a huge change, but even more, it's really great for these multi-units because now they can put 3.5% down, almost $1 million for a 4-unit and only put 3.5% down. That is huge. These increases are going to let you guys close more homes with the FHA loan for multi-units because now those price ranges, because as the prices go up, the qualification of people go down. But now they're able to do it with only 3.5% down. So make sure you take a picture of this. Keep this kind of in your phone. So if someone's like shopping, you're like, what was that loan limit again? You can just kind of reference it quickly. Now, does anyone know what area median income, like why this even affects you at all? Anybody know?
It's one of the numbers for the affordability index.
Correct. So there are programs, first-time homebuyer programs, and programs called Home Possible and Home Ready. Home Possible and Home Ready are programs that are great for first-time home buyers. It allows them to get into loans for 3% down with a conventional loan, but they have to meet the income limit. Well, the income limit's been pretty limiting, and as a household, they were at, somewhere, they were more around this range, which is still in Kennebec County, which was down about 48 before. As a household to make under $68,000, it's a little bit tough. They've now gone up to $81,000. So what that means is a single person, 2 first-time home buyers, they have to make under that income limit. Now they're going to qualify for a 3% down conventional product with a much lower interest rate, lower PMI. So we're using this a lot in replace of an FHA loan. So they don't, we'll get into this a little bit more, but they've taken away the loan level pricing adjustments for the first-time homebuyer program. So I'm going to talk quite a bit about that because it's really important, but keep this in mind when you have buyers that are thinking about, that have been telling you, well, I'm doing FHA because of the down payment. Well, have you thought about conventional 3%? Because maybe they're being limited with the condition of the property, they're being limited with just their offer getting accepted and competing against conventional offers. This could be a great option. So what I encourage you guys to do is start thinking like, who was I working with all last year and we made like 1 million FHA offers and none of them went under contract? Maybe we can get them into this program, right? So start thinking about that. Or if you have someone that's been consistently looking in that FHA range, but the property doesn't qualify, this could be a great option. But this is the loan limit for Cumberland County, York County, in those areas. So,
Sky, what's the credit score for the Home Ready and Home Possible?
680. So this is what I want to talk about for the first big change coming, and it's gone into effect, and this is a great change. Some of the others are a little bit negative. This one's a really, really good one. Anyone know what an LLPA is? Maybe you can get a prize if you know what an LLPA is. Nobody? No one does mortgages. It's a loan level pricing adjustment. So what a loan level pricing adjustment is let's say you see in the market that you go online, and online it says the rate is 5%. And then a lender quotes you and quotes your client and comes back and says, oh, the rate's going to be 5.875. You're like, what the heck? I just saw that it says 5% on this. That's because that's the base rate that doesn't have any loan level pricing adjustments included. A loan level pricing adjustment is something that basically, let's say someone has a 680 credit score. They're going to have a larger loan level pricing adjustment than someone with a 760 credit score. Let's say that the property is a condo. That's going to have a loan level pricing adjustment, making it a little bit worse pricing than a single family. Let's say that the property is a multi-unit, same situation. So what used to happen with the first-time homebuyer 3% down program is there were a lot of loan level pricing adjustments, making it maybe not as appealing as an FHA. Like I would look at both and I'd be like, FHA still makes more sense for them, right? Well, they've now done away with all loan level pricing adjustments for this program. So if their credit isn't great, they're not getting hit on the rate really drastically. So what this means is a first-time home buyer could get into this program significantly less PMI, no funding fee, only 3% down, and still have a good rate. So this is a really big change because how we kind of toggled between the two for so long, and FHA made more sense a lot if their credit was like 700 and under. This now makes sense because they've eliminated the loan level pricing adjustments. So this again is somewhere where I want you guys to look and really kind of think about your database, right? Like we want to get people under contract. So think about your database, think about those FHA buyers that you had that maybe can now go into conventional because of these adjustments. Anybody have any questions about that? No? Good, okay. All right, so there are a couple inspection requirement changes that are taking place. One of which is that York and Cumberland County are no longer exempt from insect inspections on government loans. So VA specifically, if you have a VA loan and the property is in York and Cumberland County, you are going to be required to have a pest inspection. This was always the case where you may have run into it when you maybe had a out-of-state lender and they'd be like, oh, you need a pest inspection. You'd fight with them and be like, I don't need a pest inspection. We don't need pest inspections in Maine. And like being a local lender, we'd always just be able to get an exception. Like we don't require them here. They just take the condition off. Now, because of global warming, pests are creeping into Maine. They're mostly carpenter ants and things like that are now causing issues. So this is very important for you to know because this could hold up your closing. If you go through the entire process, have your inspections done, have everything done, and then the lender comes back and says, hey, I need a pest inspection at the end, and you're like, or they basically say, hey, can you send me a copy of the pest inspection? And you're like, I didn't have a pest inspection done. I've never done a pest. I don't need a pest inspection. And you're like, nope, you do. You now need them for these VA loans. So make sure you keep that in mind, and you're scheduling that at the beginning of the process when you're doing regular inspections. Inspectors, well, comes in here every week and teaches. They definitely do pest inspections, and there are other. I mean, I think most home inspectors can, but just to kind of give an example, I recently had a situation. I've been doing pest inspections for a long time in Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Vermont and these other states I lend in. The other day, I had a situation where the normal pest home inspector had said, hey, like there's some issues I think we need, they basically made note that there were some issues with the pests and they were requiring for it to be mediated, which it's the middle of winter. The pest companies were like, we're not spraying anything right now, right? But then they had an actual pest company come out to do the work, and that pest company said that this isn't an issue. They're the professionals in the pest situation. They said, this isn't a pest issue. There's no evidence of any pests that be an issue. So because they were actually the pest professional and the normal home inspector was the one that made the note, we were able to get that taken off as actually having to be the work be done. So I recommend having like an actual person that's professional in this, but these are people that you need to start having in your back pocket, right? Like these are people you need to start making connections with, making sure that you know their turn times, you know what to expect, because they are going to be required for every property for VA loans in VA and FHA new construction.
Are you familiar with the new GSE that's coming up about radon?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay. That's another thing we'll talk about probably in June.
Yeah, definitely. These are the ones that Daryl gave me now. This is also a huge one and something where I've actually had come up twice since the first of the year. A measurement from the well to any part of the septic system must be 100 feet apart, okay, on all FHA, VA, USDA loans, okay? If it's not, you are now going to be required to have a 4-hour load test and a water quality test. So the water quality test used to just be on FHA dug wells, right? Like the flow test, FHA dug wells. So we'd be like, we're not doing FHA on a dug well, right? Now it's on any loan that is a government loan. So what I recommend when you are at the regular inspection. When you're at the showing, make note of where the septic is. Make note, if there's any doubt, get it measured, because this is going to be brought up in the home inspection. I would make sure that you are asking your home inspector this. The appraisers are measuring, and that's where us as lenders are going to know. Then we're going to, I've had, literally, it's what, March 2nd? I've had 2 already this year that we've had to have this flow test done, one of which failed, and then it delayed everything. We had to have a water system put in. So this is really, really a huge, at the beginning, need to be keeping in mind, because it will delay your closing if you're not aware of it. Anyone have questions about that?
Is the pest one just VA or is that?
Just VA and FHA new construction right now. Okay. All right, so you may think like, oh, refinance, this doesn't really affect me. Well, think of it like this. Imagine your buyer says, yeah, I'm gonna buy this house. I'm gonna put 50%, let's just say I'm gonna put 20% down this house. I'm gonna put $150,000 into this. I'm gonna spend all my money, redo it, add a ton of equity, and I'm gonna do a cash out refinance in 4 months to get this money back, right? Or I'm gonna borrow this money from someone that's going to ask me to pay them back in 4 months, but I'm gonna get the work done, and it's definitely gonna appraise way higher because I've done all this work, and I'm just gonna do a cash out refinance and get that back. Now, the new seasoning requirement is you must wait 12 months. What I don't want to happen to any of you is you say to your borrower, yeah, that's fine, you'll definitely get that back. Then they go to refinance and they say, I have to wait 12 months. I don't have time to wait 12 months. I need that money now. And now they're in a situation where you, as their agent, has advised them, yeah, that's fine, you can get that money back, but you can't. So keep this in mind. If you ever hear someone say that they are planning on refinancing and taking cash out quickly, because you no longer can. There's a 12-month seasoning period from the date of closing to the next date of closing. So from like no date to no date. Yes, every single loan. All right, here's some appraisal changes. Direct from Bob Strong of Property Val. So this one's a kind of big one, especially here in Maine. Ceilings must be 7 feet tall. If they are even an inch under 7 feet tall, they will no longer be given gross living space credit. They will not be given the value of gross living space. They will now be given value such as a porch, an amenity of some sort, a fireplace, something that's adding value to the property, but not the value of gross living space. This is a big change. There are a lot of properties in Maine. So basically what he said is if it's a cape and it's upstairs and the ceiling is 6'11", it could be a 0-bedroom house. This is going to affect your saleability. This is going to affect things. So this is very important for you to know and remember and keep in mind. And they will be giving value for it, but it's not going to be the value of gross living space.
Because we can't change it.
Correct. So it could really affect how much it's going to appraise for, how much you're going to be able to sell it for. This is the biggest change and the biggest thing he wanted me to really kind of put out there, that be aware of this.
When that takes effect?
It is in effect now. Like he said, if the ceiling height is 6'11" on the second floor would be considered an amenity. It would not be considered living space. Same thing with a finished basement. So keep these things in mind. The next, and this is kind of more, I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a big change, but something to keep in mind, is we may be seeing a lot more appraisal waivers coming up. However, if you get a call that says, hey, I'm the appraisal scanner, I'll be out on Thursday, and you're like, what the heck is an appraisal scanner? Instead of the normal appraisal waivers where it's just a desktop appraisal and no one goes to the property, they're going to be sending someone out called an appraisal scanner. They are a certified via online class with a cell phone and a tripod, and they're being sent to the property to scan the property, in which they will then send that information back to the desktop appraisal to verify that the property is in the condition that they're expecting it to be. So that's more something just to kind of keep in mind, that we may be seeing more appraisal waivers, but they are going to be an extra level step to that. In addition to that, just keep in mind that I get a lot of these calls pretty much weekly of, hey, can we get an appraisal waiver on this? and the borrowers are only putting 5% down or 10% down. The borrower must be putting 20% down to even be considered for an appraisal waiver, okay? It may go up to 85%, up to 90%, for a cash out refinance, but for a purchase, they have to be putting 20% down to even be considered for an appraisal waiver. If you are in a competitive situation, we can always run the property for an appraisal waiver before they actually go under contract, which could make your offer stronger. So use that as a tool. If you're like, hey, do you think we can appraisal waiver this, and you know that they're strong buyers, the buyers definitely have to have a debt to income ratio, usually of under 45 or 43%. So if you know it's tight, they're not going to get it. And there has to be a decent amount of info about the property. I've had properties with people putting 60% down and still not gotten them, but the property hadn't been sold in 35 years, right? So those are kind of things to kind of keep in mind. Does anyone have any questions about these?
What are you seeing for pricing for appraisals?
Oh God, I'm seeing anywhere from, I would say, 800 to 1,050.
And do you think that the scanner is going to make, it's not the price of desktop appraisal, it's maybe a little bit more, do you think?
I don't know, actually. That's a great question. We have not been, it hasn't gone into effect yet. Freddie Mac is about to implement it. So we haven't seen anything with these scanners yet. So we don't really know what the pricing is going to be. If it has an appraisal waiver, there's no cost. So, but we have seen some situations where they were doing kind of a minimal one, which had a cost of $225 or something like that. So I'm not sure if there'll be a fee like that, but that's something we should know pretty soon once Freddie Mac makes the announcement.
Do you think they're doing this because the appraisal profession is kind of becoming,
Yep.
there's not as many people in the profession anymore?
Possibly.
Kind of like
I think that appraisals are going I think they're realizing more and more that appraisals are an opinion by one person, and now they're finding other ways and more technology and all these. They also realize that the appraisal process is a big bottleneck in the mortgage process, right? So they're trying kind of to open that up a little bit so that things can move faster, that we're not, think about when it gets so busy, right? Could get on 5 or 6 weeks for a turn time for someone's opinion, and so that's kind of what they're trying to alleviate. But they still need to verify that the property's there, that the property's of good condition and things like that. So I think it's just an extra level of assurance, honestly.
Artificial intelligence is
Yep.
probably taking over.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I think we're all in for that. All right, so these are some exciting things, and these are all of the new tools for you guys to sell more. This is what all of the paperwork that I gave you are, and they're not really even things that you need to look at right now. You can, but these are kind of keep on your desk, and when you think of someone or someone calls you, you're like, oh, let me check some information on that. So the first one that I'm super, super excited about, and we're doing a huge push on right now, is we now have a 5% down construction product. Traditional construction, one-time closes at the beginning of the process with disbursements throughout. This can include the purchase of the land included in this. Why is this great for you? Well, you have more availability to more builders. Builders aren't necessarily able to fund a ton of new builds. So now this is getting them the money in their pocket sooner. Also, think about all the buyers you've had that have shopped until they drop and can't find a property. But they don't have 20% down for a traditional construction loan, and they don't have a builder that will do a turnkey construction loan. Now they can build a home with only 5% down with a traditional option for their builder. So gets them paid faster, it gets you paid faster, it gets the process. It's a super easy, streamlined process. It's an 11-month construction period. I'm just trying to think of all the things that you should know about this. 11-month construction period, disbursements throughout. We have a company that we partnered with that basically will do everything up front in getting the builder approved. It's a 3 to 5 day approval process for the builder. But what I'd say with that is, as soon as someone decides they want to build and they've identified their builder, get the builder approved right then. That can be done before you've even done the plans and specs, and it takes 3 to 5 days, and then you're done with it. You don't have to think about it again, and you don't have to be like, okay, we're ready to go. Now we have to get the builder approved. We can do that up front. Does anyone have questions about this product?
Yeah, so what's involved in getting the builder approved?
It's pretty simple, but there's a one-page document that they have to kind of fill out, and then there's a few documents like insurance and things like that that they have to provide. So it's quite simple, and The only thing that they're working on, but it's not there, is you do have to get the builder approved each time. But they are kind of working on putting together a database that will eventually, but it's a brand new product, so we're not there yet. But again, if you've already done it, then it'll be like a one-day turn time, and we already have the paperwork, right? So it's not like you really have to do it again. It's probably like I have to do it again. Great question. Does anybody else have questions about that? I encourage you guys to try to push us as much as you can for those people that aren't finding the right property. We're putting it out to as many builders as we can as well, so that they know that this is an option, to give more buyers options. Anyone done a 2-1 buy down ever? All right, these are fun. We're doing a lot of these, and I kind of have a success story with this that just happened we actually closed yesterday, but a 2-1, does anyone know what a 2-1 buy down is?
It's like an arm.
It's not like an arm.
Like not a full point, but it's 0.25 or whatever.
Similar.
2 years.
Don't you have like a portion of money in escrow, and so for the first year it's two points down, and the second year it's 1 point down?
Yes, let's give you a prize for this, Belinda. Okay, so how it works is, here's the situation. Let's say that, well, actually, let's use the example in here. I don't see many 3-1 buy downs, and 3-1 I wouldn't recommend in the market because rates are going to drop. But let's look at this, for example. This page right here. Let's say the purchase price is $450,000 and the loan amount is $405,000. In this situation, the borrower is putting 10% down and the rate is 6%. A 2-1 buy down simply means that you get seller paid closing costs to pay down the rate for the first 2 years. What this does is the first year, the rate is 4%. This for the entire year fixed rate. The second year, the rate is 5% fixed for that entire year. In the third year, it just converts back into the 6% that it was going to be anyway for those first 2 years, right? So what this does is this may save someone $500 a month for that first year, almost $400 a month for the second year. By the third year, they're refinancing anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So I just had a situation where I had a buyer call. They were under contract on this house that they were selling. They were under contract on a house that they were buying. The people that were buying their house were under contract on the property they were selling, and they were under contract on a property that they were buying. So there were 5 properties contingent on this person buying this house. Well, they didn't feel comfortable with the monthly payment. They're like, this is too high. I feel like we're getting ourselves in a bad situation. I know we'll be fine once everything happens, but right now, this is not a good situation. So think about those people that are moving. They have a lot of upfront expenses. They're maybe starting a new job and they know they're going to be getting, a lot of commission, but none of that started. Maybe they're moving because they have a new baby and there's going to be a lot of expenses with a new baby. All these things, and they're like, I feel a little bit tight right now. I know we're going to be in a better position soon, but right now, not so much. What if you could tell them, well, I could save you $500 a month in that first year, maybe $300 in the second year, kind of to give you that alleviation, and then you're definitely going to refinance anyway, so you're never going to get to the point that you can buy this. So I said this to these buyers and just said, what if we could just get your payment down about $500 this first month, this first year? And they're like, okay, like that makes me feel better, And I mean, they were pulling the plug. The deals were dominoing all dead. And I said, okay, well, what about seller paid closing costs? They're like, oh, well, we have like $10,000 in seller paid closing costs. I'm like, okay, well, you're selling your house. Like, do you need that $10,000 in seller paid closing costs? Or what if we could get seller paid closing costs to cover the costs? So $8,984 for this $450,000 purchase is what it would cost for this buy down, okay? You structure in a way as an agent on the purchase and sale agreement that says $8,984 towards seller paid closing costs for a 2-1 buy down. You have to make sure that you're specifying what it's for. Where we're seeing a lot of this is during the inspection period. The buyers are seeing more value in asking for this buy down than getting $5,000 towards closing costs. Okay, so what this does is it makes them feel better for these first couple of years, right? It makes them feel like they're not going to be strapped. And it's true. I mean, it's giving them this, and it's making more sense than paying their closing costs. So if you're in a situation where the borrowers consistently are like, I just don't feel good, I don't want this payment, like I don't like it, be like, well, what about if your rate was like in the 4s? Would you feel better about it? Like, could we do that? And we'll get you that for this year. So we're doing a lot of 2-1 buy downs right now. it's a tool for you guys, but also it's a great tool as a listing agent. So think if you have a listing that's been sitting for a little bit and you're like, oh God, I'm gonna have to go drop the price by 10,000, and then everyone's gonna say, what the heck's wrong with this property? And then you're like, and now my commission has just gone down, and now my this has just gone down. What if you advertised that the seller was willing to pay a 2 and buy down? So instead of dropping the price by 10,000, which is only gonna help the buyer by about $50 a month anyway, now you're offering a 2 and buy down that now gets their payment down $500 a month. That's a better technique and a better, more appealing to a buyer than a $10,000 price drop. So think about that when you have listings, is it could be a way to kind of get some traction, and it's working, right? Does anyone have questions about that? It's kind of, you know, it's a product we haven't had to really have for a long time, right? But now it's a tool that's going to make people kind of get off the ledge of buying and give them that alleviated payment that they really need for the first couple of years.
So does it have to be in the P&S in line 26, or can it be on the ICA that says based on the...
It can be in the ICA. Yep, absolutely.
X amount to a 2.
It just has to specify for the 2-1 buy down. So I have had it a few times lately where they had seller paid closing costs, and then we kind of discussed the 2-1 buy down, and they just went back in and like kind of put that verbiage in it, and that was fine as well. Just has to be in that. Anyone else have questions about that? It's a great tool. You guys should be using it. I mean, and especially for FHA or VA buyers, any FHA or VA buyer should not do anything but this, because the refi process of a VA loan and a FHA loan are so easy that they're going to be doing that anyway. So why not give them this break? Honestly, everyone, why not give them this break at the beginning, because there's no doubt they're going to be refinancing in the next 3 years. So it's just it's a way to save the money in the first few years. Anyone ever done a DSCR? Know what a DSCR is? Nobody? You guys, I'm giving you so many new tools today. All right, so a DSCR. Does anyone work with investors here? John, Belinda? Okay, so this is an investor loan. On here, what I did was I gave you a very basic, like this is like keep on your desk and like, where is the DSCR? Might not be at mine. 1 second. Oh yeah, right here. So this is like very basic, like here are the requirements. But what it is it's for investors that are buying properties for investment properties, not for owner occupied, that are receiving rental income or will be receiving rental income. If the rent covers the mortgage, qualify, okay? It is nothing more than there's no income verification, no employment verification, no tax returns. It is based on the property, okay? So let's say that you have a 4-unit, and the 4-unit gets $1,800 per unit, and you have 4 of them, and the mortgage is $2,500. Does that cover it? Yeah. What if you have a single family and the payment's $2,000, but the market rent is $3,200 a month? Great. What if it's even your payment is $2,000 a month and the rent is $2,200 a month? Still covers it, right? So the caveats of this is it really is for people that have money, right? Like you have to put, normally I would say 30% down. 25% down can be used for if it like really cash flows. But let's just, as a basic rule of thumb, let's say it's 30% down, and the rates aren't great, right? The rates are probably 10%. Let's just say the rate's 10% right now. I think it's somewhere around there. But look what you're comparing it to. Cash that maybe you don't really have for it, hard money loan that is not going to be a good situation, or someone that's never going to qualify because they don't claim anything on their taxes. Builders, contractors, investors that buy multiple properties. We can have up to 20 finance properties with this program, okay? And there is a, I believe it's this one, a 3-year prepayment penalty. So they have to stay in this for 3 years, but then they can refinance out of it, but maybe that is the 3 years they needed to claim some income on their taxes, right? So this is something to really think about, and think about all those people you have that are self-employed that have a ton of cash and they're looking for a place to dump it, but they do not claim anything on their tax returns. Like this is something to, like if you're looking for someone to generate business from, go talk to some accountants. go talk to some financial planners. Go say, hey, if you ever have someone come to you and they're like, interested in buying multi-use and stuff, but writing it, maybe they have a good CPA and they're writing everything off on their tax returns, refer them to me because I can help them. I can get them into a multi-unit, make them investment, put that money somewhere that's going to make money for them without having to show all of that. Anybody have questions about that? Another good thing about this is this can be in an LLC. It doesn't have to be in their personal name, so that's great as well. And the asset seasoning is only 30 days. So say there's an investor and they get a big chunk of money and they deposit it in their bank account, they don't have to wait 60 days. They only have to wait 30 days before that has to be. So it's only a 30-day seasoning period. We're seeing this a lot in the marijuana business. We're seeing a lot of this in that situation. So think about those types of buyers too. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of cash, they're looking for a place to put it, but their income's not federally regulated, so they can't. This is a great program for that. So, any questions? Good? Okay. And now on to bank statement loans. So this is another very similar to what we just talked about, is those people that are not claiming their income, but they have a lot of cash being deposited into their bank every day. Their bank statements show cash flow, but their tax returns don't. What this is basically what we can do is look at the last 12 months of bank statements, just the first page. We just want to see what the deposit amount is. There's going to be a bit of a haircut on it to kind of take an average out of there, but then they're going to average those 12 months worth of deposits and determine what the income is. The income needs to be consistent on there, right? Like if it's like $2,000 one month and $100,000 one and then two the next, has to kind of be consistent. So this is great for real estate agents. This is great for builders, investors, people that have the deposits going in but don't necessarily have 2 years of self-employed income, right? Because you're not showing tax returns, so you don't have to be self-employed for 2 years, but maybe you had an amazing first year, but you don't have the returns to show anything for it. This is the program. Again, you have to put at least 25% down. I think is it 25 or 30? Let me just double check on that. You have to put, at least, 25%, or 20 to 25% down on this. The rates, again, probably 10% you're seeing. But it gets someone into this property other than hard money, and especially if it's a cash flowing property and it's paying for itself, it gets them into something they'd never be able to anyway. So these aren't things that you guys are going to be selling every day and all the time and like going to be your bread and butter. But these are products to get some of those people that you don't think are ever going to be able to qualify into a property, and then we'll work on getting them into a place where they can get out of this into another property. So, and into another loan program down the road once they've kind of got their things in order. Anyone have questions about this? Good? Okay. A couple other things with some of these niche products are the seasoning requirements for someone who's had a bankruptcy, a foreclosure, a short sale. Those are usually about 7 years. So if you have someone that you know that maybe is in a situation and you're like, oh God, I have to wait 7 years before I can help them buy a house, the seasoning requirements on some of these are only 3 years. So again, someone who may never think they're going to buy in the next 5 years could get into a property because the seasoning requirements are lower. All right, so we actually kind of already talked about this one, but this is the first time homebuyer 3% down product. And how I want you guys using this is I want you actually to like leave today and go look at all of your FHA buyers. I mean, literally to go see every single one of them, call them and tell them, hey, let's reevaluate things and let's see if we can get you into a conventional loan. It gives you a reason to reach out. It gives you a touch point with these agents and kind of gets them moving a little bit and maybe gets them a little bit excited, because I'm having a lot of conversations with people that are just fatigued, right? They're just tired and they're frustrated, and they're really saying like, I'm never going to find a property. Like every property I'm looking at doesn't qualify for FHA. There's nothing in my price range that qualifies. Well, this is the option. So that's some homework for you. All right. So those were all of the new products. Those are all of the things that are going to help you guys sell more. The construction, I think, is going to be a really big one this year. The 3% down is going to be really big. And those other products are just things to kind of use to get some more people moving. Now we're just going to talk a little bit about how to stand out this year. You guys all know that our big focus here, and a huge focus, is highlighting you guys as agents, making you stand out in the market, providing everything and anything that we can to kind of go big on social media, video content, anything to make you stand out, whether it's making your open house over the top, whether it's making your listings really be showcased. That's something we're really excited about and something we focus a lot on. We now have 2 full-time videographers here. This is Tristan right here in the back. Tristan is brand new here. We're really excited to have him, and he's going to be doing a lot of in-house things. He's really done a lot of research and knowledge on things like TikTok, YouTube Shorts. These are the things that you guys have to be thinking about that you maybe weren't thinking about before, because I sure as heck wasn't. We were focusing a lot on like Facebook and Instagram and this and that, but then you're starting to see all these people that are like going viral on one TikTok, and now they're 65 to 70% of their business is coming from TikTok. It's not something I'd really even thought of or even done until Tristan started like 2 weeks ago. I'd never even done one, right? Now we're doing TikToks every single day, and now we're already seeing traction, already seeing return on this. So those are things that you guys need to start thinking about and start doing. And I was like, had like a hang up about it, right? I was like, I don't know about this. But now I feel it's like kind of like freeing, right? It's kind of like, I feel like I can like, it's not as serious, right? It's like you can be more real and more you, because that's what the TikTok people want to see. So these are the things where you should be putting your focus, is learning really how to do reels. These reels, I don't remember what my next thing is. Okay, reels can very much be your day-to-day. You could create a reel today of being here, right? Like take 3 short 5-second clips of being here. This shows something you're doing, right? Have an interesting intro, do all these types of things. Now you're putting that, now it's showing you're getting better as an agent. Now it's showing like, hey, like I just learned all these things, and I'm gonna be a very educated agent going out into this market because I know all the changes that these other agents that didn't come don't, right? So there's a reel that you could create. But some things you need to think about is like, who do you want to be on social media? Where do you want your focus to be? Do you want to sell the lakes? Do you want to be downtown Portland? Do you want to be central Maine? Like who do you want to be and where do you want to be, and start putting your focus there. That means go into the community, right? Go do a taco tasting once a week at the different taco places and make some content on it. Now people are going to start following you on that. We're going to do a quick thing. Everybody get their phones out. And whoever gets the first response on this gets a prize, okay? So something you guys have to think about is 0.1% of the time in someone's life they're buying a house, right? Like they're barely ever buying a house. So if every drop of content that you're doing is about buying a house, the reality is that people are gonna be like, unfollow. I'm not buying a house. I already bought a house. But what if you were to start posting stuff on Airbnbs because you have an Airbnb, you know some stuff about it? Okay, well what if you are like super, super organized and you start putting some of your organizational hacks? What if you're like a mom of 3 and like have a crazy freaking life and this and that? Okay, cool. What if you just bought a wedding venue and now you're like, look at this. People, I'm starting to get all these people that are following me for weddings. Guess what? When someone gets married, they usually buy a house. Now I'm getting all of those followers. These are things you have to think about. So only like 30% of your content should be about real estate. The rest of it, be about the people that you are. Be about 3 other things. So I want you to think of your 3 best friends right now, pull your phone and text them, if you were to call me about something other than real estate for advice on, what would it be? And I want to see what their answers are, and then that's what you need to start making content on. Those are the topics you need to start making content on. Whoever gets the first response gets a prize, okay? Now, what you're gonna see is like, wow, that's right, I do know a lot about that. I am actually good at that. Some of the questions, some of the things my best friend said, I was like, oh God, that's embarrassing. But it gets you thinking, because I never thought like that. And now your following can go from 1,000 followers to 5,000 followers, because now all these people are asking about all these things. Are you in, do you know a lot about multi-units? Do you go to a lot of restaurants? And those are the things people want to know and want to follow you for. So I'm really interested to see what you guys come up with. And then I'm excited to see what content you create on those subjects. All right, let's See who has a real best friend. Mine gave like literally the world's worst answers. Like, all right, now we wait. Can anyone think of something you think that your friend might say? Yeah, what do you think?
So I do jiu-jitsu, I compete with that.
Amazing.
My wife owns a marijuana business, so that would be the...
Exactly. Perfect. But think about all the people that are going to follow you for those reasons. Then when they go to buy a house, they're like, oh, I follow this guy about, jiu-jitsu, and he's a professional in that, but he's also a real estate agent. Like, I want to use him because I connect with him on that level, right? So that's where you have to start thinking. But then that kind of gets your content, like, mind from here to here to here to here, and now it's never ending, right? And now as you do those things day to day, you're making content for it.
I got a response.
Yes, Katie Dream.
Someone wanted to know more about Make-A-Wish.
Perfect.
So apparently, I got a response. She goes, knowing you or not knowing you?
Yes,
She said knowing me.
but that's so true because you're so involved in Make-A-Wish. But now if you think about how many people are connected because of Make-A-Wish, right? And if you start getting all those people, and that also shows the type of person you are and where you put your energy, and now people will start following you for that reason. That was great. Anybody else getting responses yet? Nobody has any friends? Come on. Denise, okay.
Mine's a teacher. She needed a break.
She said engaging, fun, and sweet.
Okay. So maybe that's your personality, right? So those are things that wouldn't necessarily be like someone that would ask for advice on, but that could be like you show this caring side of yourself, right? And then someone's like, I want someone that's going to hold my hand through the process, and that could attract people in that way.
I have a friend that moved to Florida, and he, based on watching me do real estate, he decided to get his license down there.
Yeah.
Done a ton of activity, but when he does, he's constantly calling and asking advice. So then he started calling and asking about financial advice. So because he's seen some things with buying properties and things like that. So, people that ask about financial advice, one thing you can leverage that in is say, well, I would encourage you to start investing in real estate.
Exactly.
That's going to build wealth, and by the way, I can find a house for you.
Exactly. That's so good. Okay, Belinda?
One of my girlfriends said, oh my God, anything and everything. Kid questions, life advice, and your honest opinion.
Yes. In like Dance Mom? Yeah. Dance Mom life. Like, that's the first thing I'm thinking, like, but think of the network among your dance moms. Like, that should be like your gold mine, right? Like, yeah.
Girl I used to coach in wrestling, I put it on Facebook. She goes, first person I'm calling for a fight for a backup.
Yes. Jiu-jitsu. Anybody else? Yeah.
Traveling and yoga.
Yes. And think about the people on social media. That's all they post on, right? They are viral, right? So if you start talking about your yoga, now you're attracting all the people that want to learn more and follow you because of yoga, but also the people that want to follow you on your adventures. But now when they buy a house, they're calling you. So those are the things you guys have to start thinking about. Keep telling us when you find things. All right, so that's a little bit about social media and kind of really figuring out what you want to do and where to put the focus. Definitely be putting the focus on the Reels, the YouTube Shorts. We posted a YouTube Short, and within like 10 minutes we had over 1,000 views. Like, it's kind of crazy. I didn't even know what a YouTube Short was, but that's where people are. I think about my kids, right? Like, we have to think about the next generation. My kids don't do anything but YouTube, right? And that's what you have to, they look for everything on YouTube. So that's where we have to have that mind shift. And then this is kind of what thing is like, no one's had to sell properties in a while, right? You put a property up, it's sold. So now you have to start thinking about like what you're doing to stay in front of your referral partners and clients. Are you consistently staying in front of them? Are you consistently building these relationships? Where are you looking for the relationships, and how are you nurturing those to set yourself apart from any other agent? There are so many real estate agents, and right now the pool of buyers and the pool of under contracts is not so big. So you have to keep asking yourself like what you're doing to consistently build those relationships. And that's something that we focus on here all the time, is like relationships are our number one priority. Like, I want to provide as much value to you as I possibly can. We're constantly adding things. We're constantly trying to figure out other ways to make you better and stand out as an agent and truly leverage that. Like, we want you guys to be doing that, but as an agent, you have to think about that with your buyers. Like, are there things, does anyone want to share anything maybe that they've done, or ways that they keep in front of agents, or ways that they, not agents, keep in front of their buyers or past clients, or Any like unique referral sources that you might have? Anyone? Anything? Anything?
We did like a fun concert.
Yes, and that was so fun.
Yeah, my business partner's kids are in a band, and they played at like
It was so fun.
point, and so we just bought all our clients tickets, and then we had them come, and they paid. We gave them like a couple drink tickets, and then they were on their way.
It was so fun. Yeah. You know, and it's just another.
It was like different than what we usually do.
Right. You know, we did a sip and script the other day for some people, and it's like it's just something different. Like we weren't like trying. We were just like hanging out. Like we just want to like build those relationships, right? And those are the things you guys have to really be focusing on. But kind of getting creative too is how you're selling things and how you are marketing it. Like the pictures that you're taking with your cell phone may not cut it anymore because you need to really show what it is. And you know, maybe we have. You know, we can have our videographer go and create, like, make you look like you're on HGTV. Like, we want to do that. Like, we want to get creative with it and create plans and all those things. So that's something to think about. And then just making sure you're always staying on top of your game and being educated, because these things that we just went over today are changes. They could blow up a deal and then make you look like you don't know what you're doing because you didn't know that, right? There are always changes happening. So just make sure you're always staying on top of that and always staying on top of your the education and the changes portion and be the best you can in the business. So a couple quick things. One is the notebooks that I gave you. One of the biggest questions and hangups I hear every day about creating content is, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to create content on. So what I've started doing and what I encourage you all to do, keep this notebook in your car, next to your desk, wherever you spend your time, take it with you. When a borrower calls you and asks you a question, write the question down. Later that day, next day, whatever, keep an ongoing list, make a video on that. If someone has a question, someone else is going to have that question too, and now you're the professional in that. Now you're the person that has answered that question for them, and you have an ongoing list of never-ending questions, because guess what? People ask us questions all day, every day. So this could be content for literally the rest of your career, and keep it ongoing. So that's what I want you using this book for, is keeping an idea of all those, brainstorming. When you think of ideas, write them down, but really use it as your like question notebook. And then I want to see you guys making videos on that and creating those content. So that's all of the things. Does anyone have any questions on that? Anything we talked about today? Anything they want to add? If anybody wants to, we have 2 more prizes for, we kind of set up a couple stations around. If anyone wants to do a video today, we put some questions out of like actual like real estate questions that people are asking. And Tristan set up some stations so you guys can go in, shoot a quick video answering that question, and we'll produce it and make it for you guys and send it out so you can have some content for today. So if anybody wants to do that, we already have it set up and ready to go. And first 2 people that want to do it and are brave enough to do it will get prizes. Come on, someone.
I'll try.
Yes.
But I can't answer any one of
Yeah,
them.
that's okay. Get yourself out there. All right, Tristan will take you to do this. And okay, I need one more. Someone else wants to do this. Yes, Denise. Awesome. If anybody else wants to, don't feel like anyone and everyone can say and do them. But thank you guys so much for coming today. Make sure you're spreading the word of these changes, because some of these really are impactful. And we'll be sure to keep updating with any other changes that we see, because changes are going to keep coming. And don't forget about the credit class. I would love if you guys reach out to your dad. It's a reason to touch them, right? It's a reason to reach out to them. It's a reason to call them, and you're adding value to them. It's going to keep you in front of them, so when their credit is high enough, you're the one they're coming back to, and we're going to help you get them to that place where they are ready. So
When are you going to email out the link again?
it's today. Yeah, we're literally putting it all together today. So yeah, just as a reminder, the financial advisor one is on the 16th. Important. Let's set you guys up for success in the future. He's going to give you all the tools to do that. And then the class for the credit. So it's perfect. So we're excited to do those, and we'll keep you updated. We do have a class in March, April. April will be Bob Turner is coming, right? Talking about renovations and things like that, right? Oh, I don't know.
Motivational speaking.
He's coming and doing some motivation, I guess.
Yeah.
He's also
Information on how to rent
he's
it.
also a builder.
Yeah, he's doing that motivational stuff.
Okay, so he's coming in April, and then May we have Bob Strong coming from Property Val Appraisals. He's going to be talking about things that will blow up your deal on the appraisals. So those are our next few classes that we have coming up. We also always have this space if anyone ever wants to host a first-time homebuyer seminar. We're putting together an investment class right now that I want to put out to buyers. So if any agent wants to partner with that to invite people to do that, we're putting that together right now. And if anyone has their office wants me to come in and teach this class to your entire office, I'd love to do that as well. So keep those things in mind. Thank you guys so much.